everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now redubbed by Disney, or current Lucasfilm, Legends. Today, we finish off the entire young adult series, Young Jedi Knights, by Kevin J. Anderson and I think it's Rebecca Moesta. Don't exactly remember. It's been the same one for all the Young Jedi Knight series. It was only different authors for the junior ones. This is a trilogy, the trilogy of Black Sun, because Black Sun is a criminal organization that always seems to find a way to try to boost itself back up. Off the bat, non-spoiler, I will say that this three-part story is definitely not as good as the Diversity Alliance. There are aspects of it that are better than the Shadow Academy arc, but I also feel like because it's so short, because it only spans 3 books, in one instance it's a lot more concise. Not that the other ones weren't, but in the sense that there's 3 books, so you just feel like the story kind of like moves quicker than whereas you have 6 books or 5 books to get through. But there is a lot of EU connection here that I just really, really loved. However, the main stories I usually didn't care for that much in these 3 books. The whole story with Black Sun was honestly kind of whatever to me. The interesting things were the EU connections and the personal story with one of the new characters that we meet. So the first book we have is book 12, Return to Ord Mantle, which is a famous location in the Star Wars Expanded Universe. It's been used in quite a bit of other things. There's a one-off line that meant nothing in episode 5, or like, when we did our mission there to Ord Mantle or something, it didn't mean anything at the time, but it became something in the EU. It became a story that they did. But yeah, Han, he's won a bunch of races there, and now they want him to be like the, I guess just like the guy to like, he's like a, I don't even know what you call it. He's just like, he's gonna be in charge of like watching the things because he's an honored pilot or whatever. But he wants to take his kids with him, like on a vacation. So he takes Jason and Jaina, and the whole crew with them to go to that place. Now, I have to remind you that, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but Zek gave up on being a bounty hunter, and he decided to finally become a Jedi, like them, and so he's with them at Yavin. We see a lot of familiar characters, and I'll get into that in spoilers, but they meet a girl when they're getting attacked by these weird creatures. I'm not going to get into who she is, but that orchestrates events into order, and then they end up going to this planet that is kind of having a civil war going on, and they've been having this for decades. Like, the people that are fighting don't even remember why they're fighting, like it's been so long. And so that's like the rest of the story, and then they're able to reconcile, and that's basically the entire book 12. Book 13 is Trouble on Cloud City, and of course, because it's Cloud City, we get our boy Lando Calrissian to make a return. And he's trying to set up another, I haven't reviewed for you the Galaxy of Fear young adult novel series yet. That's not going to be for a long time, because I'm going to be going backwards to the very earliest in the timeline of Star Wars, the Expanded Universe, and moving all the way back to what we've already gone over. Of course, I won't be reviewing it again because you already have my reviews here, but I'll just be reading it on my own time because I'm going to go from beginning to end in sufficient order. But in that, he also tried to, it was like Hologram Fun World or something. It was another sort of like amusement park, and he's trying to do that as well on Cloud City. Of course, his partner mysteriously died. And we learn more that there's more Black Sun stuff going on here. And we also get to visit the Bith home world, which is interesting. And those are the guys with the big heads that are bald, and they go do 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 do. Yeah. So the music that is apparently titled Jizz music. Yeah. because they didn't want to call it Jazz because it was in space. So they thought the best thing to call it was Jizz instead. I'm not joking. This is legit. They didn't mean for it to be, construed in a dirty way, but they spelled it that way. It's kind of funny. Anyway, and so a bunch of stuff. I don't want to spoil it. So they're at Cloud City. They're with Lando. That stuff happens. And then we get to the final book, book 14, Crisis at Crystal Reef, and we have an adventure with hentai. That's one of my notes, but it's not hentai. But there's an adventure on Mon Calamari. We have Jaina, Lobaka, and MTD trying to handle stopping Black Sun on Kessel, and we have Jason, Zek, the new character, and one of the Mon Calamari ambassadors in the New Republic, and also former student of Luke, going on this expedition on the Mon Calamari homeworld. And they beat Black Sun, obviously. Everything gets taken care of. Everything's wrapped up. And everything looks bright, sunny, and happy for the future. Which it won't be. Sadly. But that's for another time. But that is my basically non-spoiler of the of these last three trilogy Black Sun, Young Jedi Knight series. Overall, all 14 novels. This was a fantastic young adult series. I really enjoyed it all the way through. Some of it I enjoyed more than others. Junior Jedi Knights I enjoyed too, but of course, it's only 5 books, and it was, or 6 books, and it was meant for an even younger audience. So while I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the new characters that we got from it, I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoy these 14 books. And I especially love book 12 a lot for a lot of reasons, which I'll get into in spoilers. But overall, this entire series is well worth your time, especially if you want younger solo kids before everything that's about to happen. As we're inching very, very close to it, that'll be the next video you see, will be Vector Prime in the new Jedi Order series. And so if you want to see a different time period before that, this is where you need to go. Because while there are stakes, the kids are clearly in danger. The Shadow Academy arc, the villains always felt like a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, I never really took them seriously. Now, the Diversity Alliance was a bit different. That was a bit darker. They went a little bit more involved with that. And while, stuff happened to our main characters, and they could be in danger, I knew they were never going to die. And with this last arc, the main villain in the Black Sun, the whole plot, I didn't really care for. It wasn't bad by any means. It was just, it kind of felt like a typical, I don't know, Star Wars The Clone Wars episode by Dave Filoni. It just felt like one of those. But the basically message of the last 3 books that they're trying to tell, I really enjoyed. And I think there are good lessons for kids to read in these, and I just overall really enjoyed it, and I think it's worth your time. And I think having read all this, it's only going to make future stuff even worse. And so yeah, I'm going to get into spoilers now. If you don't want that, click out. Book 12, Return to Ord Mantle. So the first thing I wrote is Kip Durin, my boy, one of my favorite freaking Star Wars Expanded Universe characters from the Jedi Academy series. He shows up, and he has a reunion with Han and everything, and it's so awesome. They mentioned a Leviathan comic, which I never reviewed for you guys, but I did read it. I just didn't feel like there was really anything to really talk about. Like, if the video would have been like a minute or 2 long, and I really didn't feel like, if I had nothing to really talk about, I didn't see the need to do it, so I didn't do it. Han wants to have a vacation with the kids, as I mentioned in the non-spoiler. And at this point, Jason and Jaina are 16 years old. So, they're at their sweet 16 stage. So, Han Solo took Jason and Jaina, and Anakin was already with them too, to Ord Mantle. But Lobaka and Tino Ka and Zek, they show up. And they win the race on Ord Mantle, which is really cool. It's the first time kids had won the race there. And here's the big continuity thing that they did that had me going, what? This is a young adult novel. The new character that we get introduced to. Her name, Anja. Wait for it. Galandro. If you don't recognize that name, you haven't read the 80s trilogy of Han Solo books, which I reviewed. Galandro was like a Western. He's one of the sharpest shooters in the galaxy. He could even rival Boba Fett. And he was in the Han Solo trilogy by Brian Daley. One of the best Star Wars media you can possibly ask for. That and A.C. Crispin's trilogy of Han Solo is excellent. Now, I never really thought that, I thought it might get a mention here or there, like, oh yeah, I did an adventure here. But to bring a new character from a character that was written in the 80s, or whenever it came out. And remember, this is supposed to take place years and years and years after that story happened. And to bring that back, the continuity in the Star Wars expanding universe is what I love. Because yeah, you have Stephen King who like connects his stories, but that's one guy writing all these stories, making them all fit. These are different authors, different perspectives, different ways of writing, all coming together and making... It's not perfect. We're not in heaven, people. This isn't Jesus' book. This isn't the gospel. This is a fictional story. But considering the amount of different people who worked on it, there are very few contradictions in the 30 plus years of material that we have. And what we got is a pretty good mesh of continuity that fits. So the fact that we got a new character that is the spawn of a character from another novel was so... I was so blown away by this fact. It's one of the greatest parts of this trilogy, is just her existence in general. I absolutely loved that. I never thought I'd hear anything about the Han Solo trilogy ever again. And then here we go. And yeah. So this is where the big thing that I think is really good for kids to hear or read about happens here. We learn that she's an addict and that she's addicted to a spice. And kids in middle school and high school will be reading this. And that is a really, that is a very sensitive story to talk about. Like, yeah, I know we got everything going on in 2020 with BLM and COVID and stuff, but drug addiction it's been a problem for a long time. And it's a very sensitive issue. And so I appreciate the fact that they took someone who's like 16, like high school age, and they made a character about that. And really like kind of like, it's never like too serious, like, but it's serious. It's taken seriously enough to, get to see her mindset. And she's like, I'm not addicted. I can stop whenever I want. And then you get to hear her inner thoughts about how she just like needs it, and that addiction and that problems that it brings. And I think that's really good for kids to know about. The only thing that's horrible about this trilogy is it feels like Jason has a crush on this new girl, which pisses me off. Because Tino Ka kissed him in the last book. And they don't ignore it, but it's almost like never addressed. They're not dating. It's as if that happened and then they just ignored it. So I don't know. I didn't like that. I wanted them to be together, and I hope they are in the future. Also, maybe I don't want them to be. I don't know. I don't know. They should be together, dang it. Yeah, this again is surprisingly bloody and stuff, and surprisingly detailed about graphically. I mean, it's not super graphic, but I was still surprised, like, how much they were able to get away with this in these books. It's crazy. And my next note was hatred is stupid. Because we finally get to the planet of the Civil War, which Anja was raised on. And you're like, I hate you. Why? Because you've been ruining us for thousands of years or whatever. And they don't even know why they're fighting anymore. They just hate each other so much. And when they stop to really think about it, they go, yeah, why are we doing this? This makes no sense. Can we try to work together? And then they do. Again, like I said, it was not super compelling, but hatred is so stupid. It can lead to so much death and destruction for what will later seem silly. Like, I was angry at you for, like, no reason. This happens to any relationship, whether you're friends with someone, you're romantically involved, numerous different relationships where your emotions get crazy, and then you realize after the fact it was silly of me to even be upset with this person. I don't know. But we get to book 13 now. Trouble on Cloud City with Lando Calrissian. Tino Kaw is definitely jealous of this new girl, as she should be, because Jason should be with her and not be flirting with another girl. And then, of course, Lando's investing in family entertainment, because that's where he wants to go now with his money. I loved the Galaxy Fear reference, though. Because it seems like a lot of people don't want to touch that book, but here they go, just fleshing that out. And I had mentioned in the non-spoiler that Lando's partner died. And then again, they keep going into depth with the addiction and, Anja's problems with it, and I just really appreciate that being in a book that was intended to be read by younger audiences. But that was all my notes. Like I said, I don't have as many notes for this as I did for the other ones. Then we get to book 14, Crisis at Crystal Reef. Andra is suffering withdrawal because in the last one, Seth Ross did not keep his end of the deal and did not provide her with more spice, so now she's starting to have serious withdrawal. Andra steals Zek's ship because she wants to go to Kessel so she can get a quick dose of something and then head to Mon Calamari, which has a shipment hidden there that she can take to make herself feel better. Oh, and then again, another reason why I love the EU. You know that random guy in episode 6? Because Han and Leia, Luke wasn't on the Death Star. Han and Leia were on Endor, and Lando was flying the Millennium Falcon, and there's that random alien sitting beside him. Well, guess what? He is a character in the EU, and he's more than just a face. And I remember him here, but he might have been in other books that I read that I don't remember, or maybe there's books that I just haven't read yet that he's in. But here we go, another character, seemingly not important at all, and we're giving him a little bit more of character. Maybe it's not as much as other characters in the EU, but he's still getting something. And that's something you don't see, like, in anything else. And I love it so much. There is nothing that I like more. There's so much I like about the Star Wars Expanded Universe, but one of the things I love above all else is that continuity. But yeah. And then, of course, they go to Bon Calamari. They get attacked by a hentai monster. It's not hentai, but it's a big squid thing, and it's attacking them, and they have to, overcome that obstacle. I loved Luke reminiscing on everything, because if you really think about it, if you've been reading all these books like I have, and you watch the movie, I mean, I wish I would have, started from the very beginning, but I couldn't. But just imagine, like, 4, 5, and 6, right? And then you're reading all these books afterwards, and so many adventures. You're counting the movies, plus all these books, adventure after adventure after adventure. Luke has been through so much. He was a moisture farmer, a nobody boy on Tatooine. And And those droids dropping down, Luke meeting Obi-Wan Kenobi, Kenobi teaching him about his father, it all led to all these events that we've come to see. And that's not even the end of it. We still have so many stories to tell. But even just here, at this final Young Jedi Knights book, they have been through so much. And this is the passing of the torch. This whole series is about the kids. The main characters from the movies have basically been side characters. They aren't the main characters anymore. Their children are. The next generation. And I just love that. Like when you really stop to think about everything that's been going on. They have been through a lot. And it's not over yet. And they celebrate the kids that have done a lot. Because even if you've only read these 14 books, you've been on a journey. They defeated the Shadow Academy. They defeated Diversity Alliance. They defeated the criminal organization Black Sun. They've done so much in such a limited amount of time. And I wish it ended there with them all happy. But of course, that's not the case. Because as we head in next, we get into New Jedi Order. The 19-book, the 19-novel epic with short stories in between that, ebooks, or the Evella, or whatever it's called. This huge epic event that takes place over 5 years. The Clone Wars only happened in 3. Losses will be made. Sometimes there'll be victories, sometimes there'll be losses. But rest assured, there is going to be a lot of death, and the galaxy will not be the better for it. But that's to come. So, if you don't want depression, then you can pretend this is the true ending to Star Wars. Everything looking bright and hopeful for the future. But if you want to see the 19-book epic, then maybe you can come and read along with me as we head into the New Jedi Order. But that's it for my entire thoughts on Young Jedi Knights. I loved it. I really did. Such a great series. It really, I only kind of knew Jason and Jaina and Anakin from the what is it called? The Corellian Trilogy. But I really got to see them at their best here, and I'm excited to see them more older in more serious situations, and to see all the adventures that they may have, good and bad. And yeah, I hope you all join me on that journey. Thank you all for sticking with me through this wonderful series, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.